I saw with my lawyer, I mean.
Yeah, why don't you talk to Miss Bush and,
He was yelling at me.
okay.
And the other guy was my buddy, that was Steven Babcock. He was talking to me through the window, trying to get me to calm down. And I wasn't, I had PTSD. So I was in a rage because Devontae was flipping out on me, yelling at me, provoking me to fight him. And my fiance even stated, like, he's been going around Painesville talking about he's gonna do something to me and my fiance. You know what I mean? And
You mean before this? He was
before
what?
all this, yes. And I
Like
stayed
what?
out.
Gonna do what?
Attack us, cause harm to us. And I'm like, no. We got into an argument, and I confronted him about it, and he went off. And it escalated. I came out the car, raised my hand, and yelling at him, and I smacked him.
All right. Gun. Gun. No question. There was a gun. I mean, you have a gun, right?
No, I don't own no firearms.
You know.
I'm not allowed to by the state of Ohio.
Well, I know you're not allowed to, but that doesn't usually stop people.
Yeah.
You've,
The defense starts from a difficult position because this isn't really an argument for innocence anymore. It's an argument for mercy after a guilty plea. That distinction matters.
you've got an aggravated robbery conviction in 2010, Cuyahoga County. Went to prison for about 3 years and a little bit. For that offense and for the harassment with a bodily substance offense in Scioto County. You get out in January of 14. Then you get a robbery in August of 14 and intimidation of a victim or witness in Cuyahoga County. And get 7 years. Went in December of 2014 and got out in November of 24.
No, not 24. November, January 20th. July 29, 2021. I caught a probation for
That was on the robbery and also a felonious assault that apparently occurred the day after the robbery, as well as an attempted possession of a deadly weapon. So you get out in November of 24.
I think he was released in 21.
Well, I don't know, this report says 24, so I don't know.
I would say 24. I got out July 29, 2021.
Okay.
I caught a parole violation at work working asphalt.
What was the parole violation for?
A coworker sucker punched me. We got into a fight. It was labeled as a misdemeanor, and I got charged with an F5 attempted arson for a cigarette burn in a seat.
Okay, so you went back.
I went to 8-month parole violation for that because I was arrested.
You got 12 months for the attempted arson.
No.
Oh, that's what the entry says, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it was. They wanted me to do, the prosecutor was opposing 2 years. The judge gave me 6 months probation, and he neutralized the 6 months probation because I got sent back on an 8-month parole violation.
All right, well, that's not what the record indicates. The
Yeah,
record
that's-
indicates 12 months.
Yeah, that was all dismissed because I've been out of.
Is he on the arson registry?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, how can
Yeah.
you be on the arson registry if you didn't commit an
I
arson?
was, well, I didn't say I didn't commit the arson. I'm saying I was charged and I pled out to it, and the judge gave me 6 months probation. And
Okay, this
probation,
says,
I never got time for that. I was given 6 months probation, and they dismissed it, and parole picked me up on the hold.
Okay.
And I got 8-month parole violation. So I did the 8-month parole violation, got out November 15th of last.
of 24.
Yeah, of 24. So during September 22nd of 23 is when I was arrested.
All right, so here we are in September of 25 with the crime you're here for now.
Right.
Okay. So what led up to you and the other guy getting into it at Sheets that night?
He was, I was getting gas, and he provoked me.
What was he doing there?
He was getting gas with Steven. Steven was getting gas in his vehicle.
You just happened to be there at the same time?
He was in the passenger seat of Steven's vehicle.
I know, so you and Steven happened to just be there at the same time?
They pulled up to the gas pump next to me. Me and Steven were okay. We were friends. But me and Levante weren't speaking, and Levante started running his mouth. So I tried to, I left. I pulled off from the gas pump after getting gas, and then we got into a physical altercation after I got out of the vehicle and pulled back up around. I went to go leave, and he's still running his mouth, and I pulled back around, and Steven came up to my vehicle.
What do you mean running his mouth?
Just being disrespectful,
Like
threatening
what?
me.
Saying what?
He's gonna beat me up, he's gonna do something, he's gonna, he should have stabbed me when he had a chance, and threatening me, saying I should have did something to you and your fiance when I seen you last time. My fiance is in the audience. I mean, she even has stated to my lawyer that he's been caused threatening and stole half my property, and literally he claimed false charges on me. He tried to say I broke into his apartment when he's seen on camera kicking his own apartment door, and that was neutralized. My lawyer even knows about that. There's no open pending case. He tried to tell the sheriff department that.
The judge isn't simply debating whether the video looks convincing. The deeper issue is whether Firestein's position can logically coexist with his guilty plea. The prosecution points to video, witnesses, and evidence from the scene.
I mean, the guy's had a vendetta. He's harassed me on Facebook. When I was getting screened for cancer on my kidneys, because I have a cyst on my kidneys since I've been in the jail. I made a post on Facebook. He says, "Oh, you're going to get what you deserve. You deserve to rot. See you in hell." I mean, I have screenshots, and I had to give that to my lawyer. She showed it to the prosecutor. He has made other threatening comments on Facebook towards me. He has followed my fiance from court to McDonald's and sat really, really close to her, as in followed her into McDonald's, stalking her, trying to hear what she has to say about what's going on with court. That's been given over to the prosecutor.
When?
When was that?
During this case, we did provide screenshots of the Facebook comments to the prosecution.
Okay.
I mean, the guy's had a vendetta out against me. He's been all over.
Weren't you living with him?
I stayed with him temporarily. He offered his home, me to stay at his apartment because me and my ex broke up, and he then kicked me out while I was at work doing landscaping. He put what property he left of mine outside. I did call the sheriff department about it and asked them if they could contact him to come back so I could go back in to get my property. They told me just grab what you need, what's there that he left out, and come back at a later time with a sheriff, which I didn't have time to because I was always working landscaping. I was freelancing, contracting in with Derek Gambian through Derek Gambian Landscaping here in Painesville. He's also a councilman here with the city department. I came back to the house to get my stuff, and then 2 days later I get a call from the detectives saying that Levante claimed I kicked in his apartment door, which I did not. He was later seen on camera of the apartment complex and evicted because he kicked his own apartment door in and falsely claimed charges on me. So my lawyer even says there's nothing pending, nothing open, that was dismissed because of the false allegations of Levante. He's had a vendetta against me this entire past year, where
When did you live with him?
I believe it was June. It was
June
only
of
for
what?
like a week or two. I just
June
stayed
of
there.
25?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. It was just temporary.
How did you know him before you moved in with him?
I met him through my ex, through one of her friends that stayed with us at the apartment. He would come over, he was a friend of ours, and he turned friendship on me, you know, he became a bad guy. You know, like I said, I was working and, you know, doing what I needed to do. I was trying to provide for my kids. And I lost a child since I've been here. I had to go through a miscarriage with my fiance here. She was 2.5 months pregnant. So I lost a child since I've been in here. I've been battling real bad health issues. You know, my family's got bad health issues. As you can see, my stepdad, he has one leg, he has back problems and stuff. I go to my mom's, help them. My dad had a heart attack a couple years ago, and I helped him. He's on oxygen. I mean, I'm not trying to be a bad person. I mean, I have paid for my son to play football for Painesville schools, $600 a year. I literally have worked for Tim Dag's Asphalt, traveled all over Ohio on parole, successfully doing asphalt and paving through Lake County. I mean, everything. I have changed my life, Your Honor. It's just this situation, I felt threatened, so I reacted off impulse. And I'm wrong for that. I do, and I do apologize for that. I regret it because it puts me at stake where, hey, I had some unaware health issues until right before I started going to knowing of the warrant and this and that. You know, I was fighting COVID and pneumonia bronchitis, and then came to jail, found out I was bleeding internally, which I still am, through my stomach. I had to get a procedure for that. I have a cyst on my kidneys, and you know, I got a lot going on with family and stuff. I literally have done the best I can. I go to counseling, I go to therapy for my problems. I don't have a substance issue. I mean, I have changed. My parole officer even was about to take me off parole early because I was supposed to be off January 5th of this year, beginning of this year, of 26. They had a hold on me all the way up until March 3rd, the day before I changed my plea.
I will say, Your Honor, that he does well when he is stable on mental health support. When he is stable on mental health support and has stability, he can do well.
All right, well, you weren't stable on September 7th, right?
I acted out of anger and I felt threatened. I did. I was provoked.
Well, listen, you
The focus now moves away from one disputed object and towards something sentencing judges often care about just as much: pattern. The court walks through Firestein's criminal history, including robbery, assault-related conduct, prison time, parole, and the later attempted arson case.
you pull away from the pump and you pull next to the other car. You get out of the car. You approach the other guy. You're pointing a gun at him, and then you whack him. You smack him over the head with that gun, okay? Why didn't you just, when you pulled away from that pump, keep on going?
Oh.
If what you're telling me is true, why? What was it you were going to accomplish by whacking him over the head with a gun?
I wasn't in the right thought process. I
Okay, so
flashed
you-
out. I had a
Okay,
PTSD moment.
So look, your history in the last decade and a half indicates you're dangerous,
And I have
doesn't
to-
it?
Yes,
Yes.
of record, yes. But I have made the point of change. I have made the right steps to getting help, and I have maintained that. Like I said, I was released in 21. I got straight to a job, providing for my kids, going to Crossroads Health, getting treatment, taking my medication.
Okay, and
being
then in
compliant.
23, you get this attempted arson, and you end
Right.
up back in for 8 months.
Right, and that was beyond 100%. My boss even said, I'm not filing, I'm dropping the charges, the state picked it up, it wasn't even $500 of damage, it was literally,
It doesn't matter, but
right.
when you tell me you're doing well, and then you
It was-
have this in 23, and then you tell me you're doing well, and then you have this in 25,
right,
that tells me you're not doing well, or you're not doing well enough.
it was, and like,
How is it,
I understand.
how is it that for periods of time, if I'm to take what you say as being true, how is it for periods of time that you do well?
It's very, I can do very well.
How? By
me
doing what?
doing the right steps to
What are the right steps?
programming, taking care of my problems and my issues and my mental health.
And what
complying-
programming?
Going to counseling, going to anger management, and complying with my one-on-one
So
counseling.
in 23, did you stop doing that?
No, I was at work. I would go to work and I would do over the phone conference with Crossroads. I was taking my medication and complying. It's
Your
just,
your counseling is over the phone?
yeah, when I'm on, well, because the hours I was working, I work, 10 to 18 hour shifts working construction. So during the day, my boss would let me so I would have over the phone conference call with my counselor and psychologist, and I'd go over medications and my well-being. They would let me take my lunch hour, at least, and do that, because they know I have PTSD and
All right, so
bipolar.
in September, were you following your programming?
To my best of my ability, I was, like I said, in the report, if we looked at it and I was able to pull the paperwork, my mom even knows I was attacked by 3 coworkers. Witnesses seen me getting kicked on the ground. My coworker sucker punched me.
Where?
On the job site.
Where?
We were working on a job in Old Brooklyn, paving. My coworker copped the attitude with me. We had words, and he was trying to make me do the work that he was assigned to do, while I had to do my job, and I was in control of the tack truck. I was the tack guy. I ran the tack truck. I had my own truck on the site. He tried to make me do his work, and I said no. So he copped the attitude. He sucker punched me. I swung back. We had a fight, and then we got into it again because he tried to fight me again. So I defended myself, and the other coworkers didn't like that, so they jumped on me. And I was outnumbered. I fought multiple coworkers at that day. I ended up going into the hospital. I had to get a CAT scan because I had a concussion. I was kicked in the face with a steel toe boot. These guys admitted there was a fight. They didn't come to court. They didn't come testify. They didn't pursue charges. The state picked it up, and they said literally it was a cigarette burn in a seat. And it wasn't even $500 worth of damage. They still charged me for F5, attempted arson. They left it at a F5. It was supposed to be attempted. I was speaking with my lawyer about that because I'm supposed to go back on an appeal to get it turned over for less time of registration. It's not supposed to be life registration. And it literally, my boss even said, it looks like a damn cigarette burn in the seat. Part of my language. Looks like a cigarette. So he's like, I'm not even going to pursue the insurance on it. I'm going to put a patch on the seat and call it a day. And I haven't been in contact with Tim Daggs, who was a retired firefighter. I never had an issue with Tim.
Well, what happened with these guys who got you on the ground and gave you a
There was no
concussion?
justice.
Well, what happened?
They never came to court.
What did Dag do about it?
He fired one of the guys and called him back. As far as I know, I haven't really heard much. I haven't made any contact with anyone. I stayed away from that situation. I don't even see those guys. I have thought about calling Tim and apologizing because Tim, I feel that's the right thing to do, but I stayed away from it. I left it alone. I was focused on my kids. I was focused on finding the next best solution and working and providing, and that's...
So this programming you speak of, if what you're telling me is accurate,
Firestein now gives the court the larger history behind his conflict with the other man, and this is where mitigation gets complicated. Threats, property disputes, online comments, alleged harassment, and earlier accusations could help explain why tension had been building.
works sometimes, doesn't work other times. Certainly didn't work on September 7th.
I was, like I said, I was punched in the face and I reacted. I swung back. That's how I grew up. I mean, a guy swings on you, swing back. And that's
Punched in the face by who?
Rich Rich, the guy that was in the indictment, he punched me. He admitted in the statement that we were both fighting.
Where?
On the job site. And
No, I'm talking about Sheets.
Oh, Sheets. No.
You have the perfect ability to get in your car once you were done pumping your gas and leave. But you confronted Devante.
I was overstimulated.
What does that mean? Overstimulated with what?
Just overwhelmed with life at the moment because one, I went through fighting for my kids to get custody of my children. I had to get to court. I haven't seen my children over a year.
Okay, this is what the programming is supposed to control, isn't it?
Right,
But it doesn't.
It does. It does when
It didn't.
At this moment, no, because I had a lot on my plate.
Your history is you have these moments, and these moments lead you to here. And you can't eliminate the moments. And when you can't eliminate the moments, you become violent.
I mean,
that's the problem. And then on top of that, you won't admit what is perfectly obvious in this case, that you had a gun.
I mean, everybody's saying there's a gun. There's no ballistics. I smacked the guy. I mean, I've seen the footage. I don't see a gun. I don't see a flash of a muzzle. There's a guy 5 feet away pumping gas, didn't duck, didn't move, didn't budge. The other guy just stood there. I mean, if there was a gun, you think people would have moved, ducked, ran?
Yeah, the mystery's over for me, okay? There's a gun, okay? So you can talk about no gun all you want, but there's a gun.
Because 3 people give 3 different stories about a firearm.
Listen, you can argue with me all day, but there's a gun.
And I'm just stating, like, the situation shouldn't have got to where it was, but over a period of time with someone provoking your family, threatening you, threatening your family, my mom even knows the guy was threatening my family. I mean, the guy has been stalked my family. And there's no charges brought on him. Nobody's done nothing for him. Like, and I'm the one sitting here. I'm off 3 alleged statements where the 911 call.
There are 3 statements. They're not alleged statements, they're statements.
The lady said she couldn't see whether if there was
I'm not arguing about a goddamn gun anymore. I'm not doing it. Okay, there was a gun, whether you like it or not. And you pled to that.
Right, I took the plea to it, and I took the plea to it because
Then here's what I should do. Then I should just vacate your guilty plea, and we can schedule a trial. And then we'll have witnesses come in, and there will either be a gun or there won't be a gun.
I mean, the witnesses are going to say there's a gun regardless. They wrote their statement, they gave their testimony, so therefore, word of mouth is that's all they need for conviction, and then that's
word of mouth from who?
The witnesses. I mean, I took the plea, that's what it is, and that's what we're going to settle for, I guess.
Okay, see, the problem on these guilty pleas, and the reason I asked the question, do you understand by pleading guilty, you're fully admitting your guilt to the charge, is so we don't have an argument when it comes time to sentencing about what you did or didn't do. Right. That's why I asked those questions at the plea hearing.
I understand that.
Not because I want to hear myself talk, but because the implication or the basis of the plea is the admission of what you've done. That's what a guilty plea is, admitting your guilt.
I understand that, Your Honor.
So you want to admit your guilt, but you're not really guilty of it.
Well, I'm just trying. One reason you asked me to speak, what I had to say, I took the plea, I pled to it because there's 3 people with 3 different stories about a gun.
Right.
I took the plea. I'm acknowledging that I had no win over word of mouth, and I just wanted you to understand the circumstances that it's word of mouth, not an actual physical gun, not an actual, well, no powder check, no ballistics. So in that reality, I want you to take in perspective, like, hey, I'm taking the steps to do the right things. This is what's being said. I'm in a bad predicament. I'm acknowledging what happened, what's wrong, and I'm trying. And from my understanding, you're a good judge. You're a righteous person. You have great integrity, and you have great intentions for proper discipline. I'm just trying to see that if we could reason for, hey, this guy's done 200 something days in here. That leaves like 111 days to do on a mandatory 1-year gun spec. I mentioned my lawyer that, hey, I'm willing to do aggravated probation and counseling and programming and complying. Give me a chance to screw up.
Well, you gotta,
But I'm not
to,
trying to screw up.
you
I
have,
have
you
a
have to
family.
go to prison because you pled guilty to a gun spec. You have to go to prison. There is no probation. You have to go to prison.
And that's what I understand that. And I'm seeing how I have 200 something days. I have 3 charges. I was thinking in consideration. I'm not trying to make you angry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, Your Honor. I have a life. I have a family.
I'm not taking what you're saying as
Right.
disrespectful.
And I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not trying to insult you.
I'm not offended, or nobody can offend me. It's impossible for anybody to offend me.
I understand. And I don't, people get the wrong perspective of me. And one thing, if somebody gives me a chance and they give me the benefit of the doubt, I normally stick to my guns, man.
Okay.
I can hold word.
You have to understand in your history.
I do.
okay, That,
From
well, you don't know what I'm
16,
gonna
11
say.
years
You don't know what I'm gonna say. With your history, okay, you can set up the programming. You can go through the programming.
This section becomes much more human, but it also exposes the defense's hardest problem. Firestein describes family loss, health concerns, work, counseling, medication, and efforts to support his children. Those details matter because sentencing is supposed to consider the person, not just the charge.
Whether it's medication, whether it's counseling by phone or counseling in person, you can go through a program, but you gotta implement what you learn in the program so that you're not out at sheets at 10:30, at 8:30 at night on a Sunday, hitting a guy with a gun, okay? The program ain't doing you any good if you're still engaging in the activity that got you in trouble in the first place.
And I understand your perspective and what you're saying. I just felt I had to defend myself, and I reacted on impulse. I reacted because I felt threatened, and enough, a guy can only take so much. You constantly get
Well,
threatened.
and that's
you
the thing,
constantly
okay?
Get
That-
provoked. It's
That's the
gonna-
thing, okay? You appear to have an explosive personality,
Yes.
okay? And so when you tell me a guy can only take so much, okay, that tells me that you know you have a breaking point. I mean, probably everybody has a breaking point, but you have a breaking point that gets triggered periodically, okay, with your demonstrated activities in the past, okay? So your programming has to be geared toward not reaching that boiling point, or if you do approach that boiling point, to take some other action so you're not whacking somebody in the head at 8:30 at night on a Sunday at Sheetz, who you don't like, who doesn't like you. I mean, you've probably run across a lot of people in your life that you don't like, right?
And I tend to turn the cheek the other
Okay,
way.
and you've run across people who don't like you.
Right.
Okay, so the question is, how do you react to it? That's the question.
And I know this situation seems bad. I mean, I know my history, makes me look bad. At that moment, it was just constant with this guy. If there's,
I
most
understand
people
and
that
that
I
was
had
the
it,
boiling point.
and like for instance, with the guys at Tim Dagg's Asphalt, I don't speak to him, haven't spoken to him in years, haven't come across him, hasn't been no issues. I can stay away from situations. I'm not even trying to, if given the opportunity to give probation, I wouldn't even make contact with the guy. I'd show up to probation 20 minutes earlier like I normally do.
You can't get probation.
I understand you're imposing a 1-year gun spec. I mean, with 200 some days served. I mean, am I going to walk away with just that? Or, I mean, I'm not trying to dictate my timing, but I mean, I understand what my lawyer has said, and I just want to take into consideration that, like, hey, my dad's days are numbered. My family's needs my help. I am trying to get custody of my kids. I have a lot going on where I was even trying to get my LLC and starting my own business. I was branching off. I got tired of subcontracting. I lost a child since I've been in here. I've been through some traumatic situations. I have gone for radiology. This officer has took me out to the outside hospital to get checked and seen by doctors. There was Dr. Yeager. Remember this Yeah, this officer. And he knows I'm not a bad guy. He knows I can speak with common sense and I know my right from wrong. I understand I have a history. It's just, I screwed up. And like I said, I apologize for it. I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot, I should have left. I totally 100% agree. I peered out. I had a lot on my plate. I was having a child come into the world. I was working a lot. You know, I know that I have life situations that were affecting me, and I'm arguing with my kid's mother, trying to get custody and see my kids. I was doing a couple contracts at that time. I had to fork over money and got people there helping me do these jobs. I had to pay them out, so I didn't have to look at a lawsuit because I'm operating in process of getting my LLC. Your Honor, I'm not a bad guy. All right, I have a bad history, and like I said, I have made the steps to change. And I just figured if I'm facing 3 charges, you know, we were 1 year mandatory. I was coming in here and spoke with my lawyer. I was thinking, you know, benefit of the doubt. Hey, give me time served on it because there's only 100-something days left of it, and give me the rest probation. I'll take 5 years aggravated probation programming. I mean, if you wanted to give me an ankle bracelet, I'm more than happy to do an ankle bracelet at modification.
All right. Ms. Bell?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state had the opportunity to review the pre-sentence report in this case. The state is recommending prison. The state is extremely troubled by the conduct here in this case. The defendant pulled out a gun, pointed it at another person, hit him over the head with that gun, and the gun went off in public at the sheets. Members of the public were there just getting gas, going about their day. And we are very lucky and grateful that it didn't end in somebody's death. The state is also troubled that the defendant cannot take responsibility and admit to having that gun and using it on that day. The defendant's history clearly shows that the only option is prison. Thank you.
All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report. There is no victim impact statement. I have considered all the provisions in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. I've indicated portions of your criminal history, not so much the history in and of itself, but what leads to the history and the repeat of these type of offenses that we talked about when you reach the point where there's nothing left to do but what you did on this night. On count 1, I'm going to sentence you to 1 year on the firearm specification, and on the attempted felonious assault, a sentence of 18 months in prison. That will be consecutive to the firearm specification by law. On count 2, I'm going to sentence you to 18 months in prison. That'll be concurrent to count 1 with credit for 209 days already served. When you get out, you'll be on post-release control for a year, up to 3 years under the parole authority with conditions. If you violate the conditions, parole authority could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If the violation is a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation, the maximum of which would be the greater of 12 months for the time left under post-release control, and the costs are assessed.
At this point, the firearm dispute stops being productive and starts threatening the entire logic of the plea. The judge treats the existence of the gun as settled, while Firestein keeps returning to the absence of a recovered firearm, ballistics, and what he sees in the footage. The court finally raises the clean procedural alternative. If Firestein truly maintains that the admitted conduct didn't happen, the plea could be vacated and the case could be tried. Here's the problem with Firestein's final push for leniency. He keeps describing his behavior as the result of reaching a breaking point. Emotionally, that may explain the impulse. From the court's perspective, it can also sound like an admission that enough pressure can still overwhelm whatever safeguards he has built. The judge focuses directly on that risk. Treatment only protects the public if the lessons survive anger, disrespect, family stress, and confrontation. Firestein responds with reasons the court should see him as more than his record. Family obligations, health issues, work plans, business ambitions, loss, and a willingness to accept strict supervision. Those are real stakes, and they make the sentencing decision more difficult than a simple punishment calculation. but his strongest mitigating facts are competing against the judge's concern about repeated moments of violence. When the prosecutor finally stands, that tension is ready to be framed in the harshest possible way. The prosecutor's argument is short, because the state doesn't need to rebuild the entire case. It focuses on public danger, the firearm allegation, Firestein's history, and his continued refusal to fully accept the conduct underlying the plea. The judge's explanation shows what ultimately carries the most weight. Not criminal history as a collection of old convictions, but the recurring process that leads back to serious confrontations. That distinction matters. The court imposes 1 year on the firearm specification, followed by 18 months for attempted felonious assault, while the second 18-month term runs concurrently, with 209 days of credit recognized. The judge also explains post-release control and the consequences of violating it. There's no theatrical speech at the end, just structure, consequences, and finality. Then, after nearly 40 minutes of arguing about responsibility, risk, treatment, and punishment, the final request is strikingly personal: whether his mother and fiancé can hug him,